So because this video is probably going to be a lot longer than normal, I will probably do it in multiple parts. So welcome to part 1. So it's that time of year where everyone likes to come out of the woodwork and say that Easter is pagan. And if you don't watch the rest of this video, let me just say, Easter is not pagan. There is no basis for that. It's a ridiculous claim that goes around the internet every year in the form of memes. It's just rubbish. If you want to know why it's rubbish, then watch the rest of the video. One thing that got me to look at the origins of all this many years ago was investigating the practice of Lent. And it was something I'd like to try and observe. And it turns out to be one of the more ancient practices in the church. And as we know, that naturally precedes Easter. So if there was a fast before, there must have been a celebration of Easter as a festival at the end of it. So going back to the origins of that, we see how it led up to it and all of the ways the church observed this time surrounding all these different observations and traditions. A fast of up to 40 days has been well established in the church, possibly back to the 1st century, definitely from the 2nd century, as we see from a quote in Irenaeus, writing around 180, where he describes this. He says, some fast for 1 day, some for 2, some up to 40. But the interesting thing is that he says that this type of fast and these fasts didn't have their origin in his time, but in his time of the predecessors. And the way he speaks of predecessors in his other writings usually refers to like the apostles or the ones that directly came after them, so like the elders of his generation. So within a generation of the apostles is where these fasts prior to the Easter celebration or Passover celebration finds its origin. So it is definitely very ancient and possibly apostolic. Back in the 4th century, a controversy arose around the celebration of Passover, Pascha. Not quite as exciting as it might sound. It was just about when to celebrate it, like what date. And the technical term for this is the Quartodeciman controversy, if you want to look it up. But it's basically to do with the Eastern Church followed the traditions of John the Apostle, where they celebrated Passover following the Jewish calendar of Nisan 14, and the Western Church, which followed a separate tradition of the phases of the moon, like we do now, to set our dates for Easter. And this whole thing came up to be discussed at the Council of Nicaea. So other than Arianism, the other big topic was when to celebrate Easter. And they settled on the Western method, which is why we still measure what date to do Easter on in the Western Church, based on the first full moon after the spring equinox or something. I never can remember how they do it. Now, Polycarp was a disciple of the Apostle John, and Irenaeus tells us that in Polycarp's old age, he went to visit the Bishop of Rome to discuss this matter, because he, being a disciple of John from the east in the Asian region, followed the Quartodeciman practice, which literally means 14th, so like the 14th day of the month. And he went to discuss it with the Bishop of Rome because they had diverged from this and they set their time based on the days of the week. So Easter was always to fall on a Sunday, being the day that Jesus rose from the dead, which is why we always have Easter Sunday now. But despite this, they both left each other in peace. They couldn't convince each other one way or the other. So, and this was around 150 AD. So it's a few more centuries later until Nicaea in 325 when it really becomes a big issue to be discussed and have a council about it. But all this goes to show and say is that Christians have been following these traditions of fasting, celebrating Passover as the resurrection of Jesus and celebration of all that, and the crucifixion, the passion, like we do, since at least the middle to beginning of the 2nd century, that we've got in explicit writing to show this. And these traditions arose out of apostolic churches in Asia and in the West. And so long before any so-called pagan influence could have come, or Constantine, whoever you want to blame, warping the church and bringing in outside influences to whatever, none of that has any bearing on Easter being what it is, and why it's called Easter now rather than Passover or Pascha, I'll get to in a bit.